The patriarch Jacob is living out his final days far from his ancestral homeland. He is old, losing his eyesight, and settled deep in Egypt. Word reaches his son, Joseph, that Jacob is falling ill. So Joseph gathers his two Egyptian-born sons, Manasseh the older and Ephraim the younger, and brings them to receive their dying grandfather's final blessing. Joseph positions the boys to align with tradition, placing the firstborn, Manasseh, by Jacob's right hand, the side of primacy, and the younger, Ephraim, by his left. But Jacob deliberately crosses his arms, resting his right hand on the head of the younger, Ephraim. Joseph is shocked. Assuming his blind, frail father has simply made a mistake, he physically reaches out to lift Jacob's hand off Ephraim's head to correct the birth order. Jacob refuses to be moved, saying, "I know, my son, I know." He is intentionally breaking the deepest rules of biblical tradition. Prior to the blessing, Jacob executes a massive legal shift. He formally adopts Ephraim and Manasseh, elevating them to the exact same status as his own direct sons, Reuben and Simeon. This carries immense weight. By turning Joseph's two sons into founders of their own tribes, Jacob effectively grants Joseph the double portion of inheritance traditionally reserved for the firstborn. This legal maneuver is rooted in an old memory. As he speaks to Joseph, Jacob recalls the sudden, tragic death of his beloved wife Rachel, Joseph's mother, during their travels years ago. She died and was buried on the road to Ephraim, which is Bethlehem. Elevating these two boys is Jacob's way of honoring Rachel's legacy, ensuring her bloodline forms the predominant future of the Israelite nation. The crossed hands are a direct response to the history of sibling rivalry that has defined the book of Genesis up to this point. This history is filled with disputes over firstborn status, from Cain and Abel to the bitter fractioning of Ishmael and Isaac. Jacob knows this history personally. He was the younger brother who had to deceive his blind father in the dark to steal the right-hand blessing from his brother Esau. Now, blind and dying like his own father was, Jacob is repeating the scenario, but doing it intentionally and in broad daylight. He explains that while Manasseh will be great, the younger Ephraim's destiny is greater, meant to become a multitude of nations. Jacob speaks a blessing over them, specifically invoking the angel who has redeemed me from all harm to bless the boys and carry his name forward. With this single gesture, Jacob officially decouples biological birth order from spiritual destiny. He is declaring that the traditional hierarchy of the firstborn is no longer the final word. This leaves an incredible amount of tension hovering over the bypassed brother. What does Manasseh do in response to losing the primary blessing to his younger sibling? He does absolutely nothing. He remains completely silent and accepts the blessing exactly as it is given. He doesn't vow revenge like Esau. He doesn't commit murder like Cain. In the biblical narrative, this is the very first time a succession dispute is resolved without violence or bitterness. It is this exact lack of jealousy, the ability of two brothers to exist without toxic rivalry, that makes Ephraim and Manasseh the ultimate role models for future generations. Because of their unity, Jacob decrees that all future generations of Israel will bless their children using Ephraim and Manasseh's names. Jewish parents to this day bless their children with the phrase, "May God make you like Ephraim and Manasseh." Jacob peacefully accepts his impending death and promises Joseph that God will eventually return their family to the land of Canaan. He grants Joseph one final gift, an extra portion of land, the city of Shechem, securing his physical and political legacy in the Promised Land. Jacob's final act was a subversion of history. By breaking the rules of the past and seeing his grandsons accept the change in peace, he leaves behind a family finally capable of becoming a nation.